Good morning, everyone. Mark, I was sitting on my back porch this morning and it was really peaceful. The way the January frost made everything sparkle.
Those quiet morning moments are really something special, aren't they? It's like the world hits pause for a second.
Exactly, and that's what we're all about here on Blue Mountain Morning, finding those moments of clarity in our busy days. I'm Alex.
And I'm Mark. We're here to help you start your Thursday morning with some perspective and maybe even a little inspiration.
Speaking of which, we've got some pretty interesting stories to share today, including some developments in the Middle East and a pretty exciting update from the world of space exploration.
Let's dive right in and make sense of it all together.
All right, as we jump into today's headlines for Thursday, January 16th, there are two major stories we really need to talk about. First up, there's been significant movement in the Gaza ceasefire negotiations.
Yeah, the parties seem to have reached an agreement in principle. And what's particularly noteworthy about these developments is how they're being approached through diplomatic channels. The U.S. has been playing a crucial mediating role here, working behind the scenes to bring all parties to the table.
I've noticed there's been a real shift in tone from earlier discussions. Can you break down what's different this time?
Well, the interesting thing is the approach being taken. Instead of trying to negotiate everything at once, they're looking at more targeted, phased agreements. It's actually pretty fascinating how they're breaking it down into smaller, more manageable pieces.
That's really interesting. And speaking of breaking new ground, we've got to talk about what Jeff Bezos and Blue Origin are up to.
Oh man, this is actually pretty exciting stuff. Blue Origin's latest rocket launch represents a huge step forward for private space exploration. This is the first time they're testing their new advanced propulsion system.
What makes this launch particularly significant for us here in America?
So, here's the thing. This isn't just about sending another rocket into space. It's about American innovation and competition in the commercial space race. Blue Origin is really pushing the boundaries of what private companies can achieve in space exploration and is trying to rival Elon Musk's SpaceX.
And I understand they're implementing some new safety features after their previous challenges.
Exactly. They've completely revamped their safety protocols. They've taken those lessons from past experiences and really turned them into improvements. It's actually a pretty impressive example of how setbacks can lead to stronger comebacks.
It's kind of amazing to think about how space exploration has gone from being purely government-run to now having these private companies leading the way.
Yeah, it's completely transformed the industry. And what's really cool is how it's creating new jobs and opportunities right here in the U.S.
And Mark, looking at these Gaza ceasefire negotiations, I can't help but think about the broader implications for the entire region.
Oh, absolutely. What we're seeing here it's like ripples in a pond, Each development affects not just Gaza and Israel, but really reshapes relationships across the Middle East.
I've noticed Saudi Arabia has been particularly vocal lately about their position.
Yeah, and that's really significant because Saudi Arabia had been moving toward normalizing relations with Israel before all this started. Now they're kind of recalibrating their approach. They're trying to balance their regional leadership aspirations with their traditional support for Palestinian rights.
And how does this affect U.S. interests in the region?
Well, it's actually pretty complex. The U.S. has been trying to sort of orchestrate this delicate diplomatic dance. On one hand, we're Israel's strongest ally, but we're also trying to maintain productive relationships with Arab nations. And let's not forget, there's the whole Iran factor to consider.
Speaking of Iran, there seems to be increased tension there too.
Right? And that's actually a crucial point. These negotiations aren't happening in isolation. Iran's influence in the region, their support for various groups, it all plays into how these talks progress. And for the U.S., it's about maintaining stability while also protecting our strategic interests.
Looking ahead, what potential outcomes should Americans be watching for?
So here's the thing. The success or failure of the agreement could really reshape American foreign policy in the Middle East for years to come. The Israeli cabinet was due to vote on the reached deal today, but Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delayed the vote. He said that the meeting will only happen once Hamas pulls back on demands for what he called last-minute concession, adding in a statement that Hamas reneges on parts of the agreement reached with the mediators. Despite all hope, it's not a done deal yet. If things fall apart, well, we could be looking at increased instability that would require even more U.S. diplomatic engagement.
And I imagine that has implications for our domestic politics too?
Oh, absolutely. These foreign policy decisions, They don't just stay overseas. They affect everything from our defense spending to our energy policies, even to our relationships with allies in Europe and Asia. It's all connected.
You know, Mark, shifting gears a bit, I've been thinking about this Blue Origin launch and what it means for America's future in space.
Oh man, it's fascinating stuff. Like we're literally watching private companies reshape our approach to space exploration. 20 years ago, this would have been pure science fiction.
The pace of innovation is it's incredible. I mean, reusable rockets are almost becoming routine now.
Right? And here's what really gets me excited. It's not just about the technology. These private companies are creating thousands of high-skilled jobs right here in the U.S. Places like Texas and Florida are becoming these amazing aerospace hubs.
I've heard they're actually struggling to find enough engineers to keep up with the growth.
That's absolutely true. And you know what's cool? It's actually pushing changes in education. Universities are creating new aerospace programs. There's more emphasis on STEM education. It's like this whole ecosystem of innovation is developing.
And it's not just the big players like Blue Origin and SpaceX, right?
No. You've got these smaller companies popping up everywhere. They're working on everything from satellite technology to space manufacturing. It's like this whole new frontier of American entrepreneurship.
Kind of reminds me of the original space race, but with a modern twist.
Exactly. But instead of just NASA leading the charge, we've got this partnership between government and private industry. And honestly, I think that's what makes the American approach so unique. We're combining that entrepreneurial spirit with our traditional space expertise.
And the impact goes beyond just space exploration, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh, yes. The technologies they're developing, they end up helping us right here on Earth. Better materials, new medical innovations, improved communications. It's like this constant cycle of innovation that keeps feeding back into our daily lives.
You know, as we've been talking about all these incredible developments in space, I can't help but think about perspective. Like the kind of perspective astronauts talk about when they see Earth from up there.
The overview effect. It's really something, isn't it? When you're up there, suddenly all these borders and conflicts we worry about daily just disappear.
Yeah, Earth just becomes this beautiful blue marble floating in space. Makes you wonder about the bigger picture, you know?
It really does. And I think that's something we could all use a bit more of right now. That sense of perspective. Like, with everything happening in Gaza, all the tensions we're seeing, sometimes we need to step back and remember we're all sharing this one planet.
Exactly. And isn't it fascinating that at the same time we're pushing the boundaries of space exploration, we're still grappling with these very human challenges down here?
That's actually a really beautiful point. You know, it kind of reminds us that human potential works in both directions. We can reach for the stars while also working to find peace and understanding right here at home.
And maybe that's the real lesson here, that the same spirit of innovation and cooperation that's driving our space achievements, we could apply that to solving our earthly challenges too.
Absolutely. It's about believing in possibility, right? Whether it's landing rockets or building peace, it starts with believing we can do better. You know, Alex, today's been quite a journey, from the latest developments in Gaza to the frontiers of space exploration. And through it all, we've tried to find those moments of clarity and connection.
Yeah, and I hope our Blue Mountain Morning listeners are walking away with not just the news, but a sense of how it all fits together, you know, like that bigger picture we were just talking about.
And remember, tomorrow morning we'll be right back here with fresh insights and new perspectives to help you start your day.
Until then, take a moment to look up at that big sky above us. Sometimes that's all we need to reset and remember what really matters.
From our mountain to yours, have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. We'll catch you tomorrow morning, bright and early.
See you then.